Scarlet's. There it is. Okay. Okay, now it looks like I'm. Okay, now it looks like I got audio. Perfect. Okay, so I'm talking now. All right, so what we're talking about today is this EverCraft kata thing, and what we're really how this thing came about was I have been looking for a way. Sorry, I'm just doing this back channel stuff. Go away, Grammarly. Why is Grammarly trying to tell me that I don't know how to type? Okay, done. There we go. So, this stuff exists somewhere on my GitHub profile. I'm going to link it in the chat real quick and try and keep it on the clipboard so I have it available for anyone who wants to see it. But I have been looking for a way to try and help teach RX. Like, I've been looking for exercises and ways and paradigms to go about, like, looking at how to change, how to give somebody a sample domain to allow them to exercise their brain. And I've heard a lot about these code katas, and I've done a couple of them, and I found one that was just funny to me because it was like EverCraft. It was like, EverCraft dice rolling D&D stuff, and I'm a huge nerd, so I just thought that this would be a fun and exciting way to go about exploring how to approach a reactive domain. So kind of here we are. Let's go. Can we go live? Can we go into it? I'll bring the chat out and I will paste that in the chat. That's so I did not create this code kata. Somebody else created this code kata, and I just forked it and started doing a .NET implementation. So that's kind of all there is to that. So we're going to look at this code kata and the requirements. We're going to look at the requirements. We're going to talk through the requirements. I have already built a solution for this, but this is what I found while I was playing with this, is that it becomes a thing where I can come back later and I can change the way I looked at it the first time and try it again in completely different manner. So it's really just a good way to just exercise my thought process about how I approach a problem, because a lot of what we do as developers is problem solving. So if we don't look at how we solve the problems and we don't try and solve problems in consistent and meaningful ways, then what we end up with is just like I solve it one way, somebody else solves it another way, somebody else solves it a different way, and then we've got 3 different ways in the subsystem to do the same exact thing, and now we've got a hodgepodge of stuff going on, and what we don't really want that. We want to be very, very aware of what's going on in our subsystem and know what the behaviors are and know what's there. And if there are things there that aren't supposed to be there, like if you get in that multiple scenario, you want to at least have a handle on it and know where it is, where the divergence is, and have a plan to get some technical debt around that and get that cleaned up, because you don't want that just hanging out forever, because it will hang out forever. So, all right, let's go ahead and get down to business. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and look at the first requirement, right? So this iteration covers the core functionality of leveling, combat, and character attributes, right? So we've got a feature as a character. So first thing we'll do is create a character. So as a character, I want to have a name so that I can be distinguished from other characters, right? Well, that's simple enough. We go to this whole thing. We click class. We do character. And we give you a public, let's just give you a public string name. And I am going to be using some magic. So because we're using RX and because I want to play around, I'm going to bring in the reactive object. And I'm also going to be playing around with some of the property change, property weaving stuff, because Glenn is working on some new functionality and I want to have all the places I can to test it out and verify that it works, so that we have as much coverage on it as we can. So Okay, so we've got this character. It's got a name. So I feel like we've solved the first requirement, right? So now I've got a name, can get and set a name. Perfect. So it's got a getter, it's got a setter. First requirement done. Man, we're good. We're amazing developers. We're getting it done. Okay, so alignment. As a character, I want to have an alignment so that I have something to guide my actions. Alignment can be set as good, evil, and neutral. So what does that look like? We have a character would have a reactive. I should probably write a code snippet for that. Public reactive. What do we want? We want this to be the character's alignment. See if we can spell. Oh, yeah, we probably need to put it again, don't we? Get, set. Well, the good thing is Ryder will tell us whether or not we're spelling things properly, so we don't have to worry about that too much. We'll create it as an enum, and we'll just give you good neutral. Yeah, you get a chance to see that I actually can't spell well. And evil, because it's only 3, right? So that's 3 things. So why does this keep jumping down? I'm gonna have one of those types of days where the MD document doesn't do what I want it to do. Okay, so as a character, I want to have an alignment so that I can get a guide to my actions. Okay, so we can get it and we can set it. So that's done. Good to go. All right, so feature, armor class, and hit points. As a combatant, I want to have an armor class and hit points so that I can resist attacks from my enemies. Okay. Has an armor class that defaults to 10. Has 5 hit points by default. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and jump in armor class. We'll do another reactive property. We'll just do an integer for armor class. And that's going to default to 10. And then we'll grab that. And what was the other one? It's hit points. So hit points, or was it health? What do we classify? I just want y'all to see that this is happening. It's not me. It's the thing. Hit points. We define it as hit points. Okay. So hit points, and that base is going to be 5. We're actually going to come back and change this later, and I'm not going to talk about why, because I'll go off on a tangent, and I don't want to go off on tangents right now. So, so feature character can attack. As a combatant, I want to be able to attack other combatants so I can survive to fight another day. Okay, so what does this look like in our heads? This looks like... So this is actually okay. So this is weird. Okay, so now I think I get where my brain is. And we're actually gonna and I, you know what, I'm failing at my task because I said I was gonna do it. So you'll notice here that there is actually no UI to this. There's just the domain and tests. That is on purpose. I am building in a domain, so like the only surface that I really would have would be tests because it wouldn't directly bind to the UI, maybe not, don't know. But it's really more so to prove that we don't, like that a test can be your first consumer of your API surface and your domain. So let's go back and let's write some tests because we want to make sure that we're good stewards of the code. And as we're checking off these features and we've gotten to the simple features and now we're getting to the first like outside of this feature, let's make sure that we just add some tests to this feature. So we'll go ahead and add a class and we'll call that the character tests. All right, we are going to do some magic. No, we're actually not going to do any of that right now. I'll do that later. I need to just go ahead and publish that package and then it won't be a problem. And then I'll just have it everywhere I want it. So I'm going to copy and paste some code that I kind of already have sitting over here because creating fixtures is annoying. I'll also point out that I started this from more or less file new. The only thing that I did add was I added the my dependencies before the stream started. So I added these things before the stream started. That way I didn't have to bore you with installing the NuGet packages. We're going to get rid of this for now because we don't need that. We're going to get rid of that. And we're just going to call this new character. Boom. Okay. So a character is supposed to have a name that we can set. So let's do this. We want to say can I? Oh, let me see if this works. Haha, it does work. So when doesn't give me exactly what I want. Oh well, close enough. I feel like Doc Brown. It works, kinda, but the carpet's on fire. Like it works, but the carpet's on fire. Like, did it work if the carpet's on fire? Okay, so we are going to satisfy the first requirement real quick, and we're going to write a quick test that verifies that we set the name. So if we set the name, the thing happens, right? So in the test, we'll have a character. System under test is going to equal new character. When we change the system under test name equal to I am like not good at names, so I don't want to use any type of name that would be copyright infringement. So we'll just call this thing thing one, right? We'll do system under test dot name dot should be. Oh yeah. We'll be cute. we do have jokes. We'll do this. We'll call him Bishop Magic. You know, because that's my D&D personality, right? That's my EverCraft personality. I'm Bishop Magic. So now this is the fun part, right? We're going to talk about the truth of this test here, right? This test actually does not test what it is that we want, right? Like all we're doing is saying, hey, we're literally testing the C# public getter and setter. If we wanted to be cute, we could do, I want to say it's on here. Because it's a reactive object, I should be able to get access to the, come on, we're scrolling through the, come on. Where are my events? Why do I have no events? Oh, because it wouldn't be on the name. It would be on this. There we go. Yeah, okay, so I could do this, and I could do changed dot subscribe, and then I could probably get out the underlying, let's call it the name for the moment is going to equal underscore dot. Oh, IntelliSense, how you var name underscore dot. Oh goodness, okay. Underscore dot. What's on the reactive property changed thing? Should just be an reactive property changed event arg. I should get access to the object. I should be able to see what's on the object. So why is this? Because you don't. Oh, because I'm making rookie mistakes. And when I say rookie mistakes I make all the time. System.reactive. Now you should know what I mean when I say subscribe, and you should give me the access. Come on. To lambda expression. Let's just kill all this. And make sure that I import. Do I not have system.reactive installed? Wait a minute. Edit this thing. System.reactive is not installed, so why? Hold on. See, this is why we shouldn't do things. Note to self. Oh, this created net standard 2. That shouldn't matter though. I'm going to do 2.0 just to be safe, but that shouldn't. Import missing file reference. But it shouldn't have had to brought in. Okay, it didn't bring in the dependency, so the dependency is already downloaded. Okay, so it was just me not. So I actually am writing a blog post and just talked about that being a legitimate pro tip, right? So let's talk about that real quick. Let's notice what happened. Here, I have the subscribe, but you'll notice I have this red thing, and I'm getting a compiler error. So when you do your first subscription in any given file, you haven't brought in the correct reference. So I actually struggled with that for like half a day one time because I had no idea. Like I'm Googling furiously, like what am I doing wrong? And then like I somebody was just like, oh, import the namespace, and I looked at it and I was like, wait, that's a namespace import? Oh, because tools make it easier for you to figure certain things out. So yeah, so we've got this name thing. So no, that's gonna be bad. Let's do this. Oh, we can just, yeah, we're just gonna be fun. Uh, changed event dot property name, or no, dot sender. Oh, I can't cast it out though. Oh, no, I can prove. Okay, yeah, I can just do dot sender dot property name equals name. Yeah, let's just verify. Property name should be a string, right? Dot should dot be name of system under test dot name. Yeah, come on. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. That reduces an allocation. And we get to even write a really funky looking test so everyone can be like, what does that even mean? Oh, so this gets into another point that I'm making in a blog post that I have coming up. It's actually going to be my first post of the year. I was working on it earlier today. Talking about... Is my entire IDE not showing up? Oh, no, everything's good. So just talking about how the subscribe is basically just a callback at the end of some like asynchronous event. So at the end of the whole pipeline, you get a chance to respond to the thing. This is why, like, because composition is crazy, right? Because like you can branch things off and respond to different points in the chain, and then let the event still pass further down the chain. So it becomes like this really awesome pipeline of orchestration you can do when it's really like a conveyor belt. Like I think I gave the example of Lucille Ball and the chocolates one time. Like her trying to pull those chocolates off is like RX, right? Like, and RX can handle that level of streaming. So basically, when the thing changes, I'm just gonna say the thing should be this, and that's what it is. So now we're actually writing an asynchronous, ridiculous test because if this thing changed, so let's do this. Yeah, that should do it. So we're gonna live a little dangerously for the moment, and we're just gonna go ahead and see if this thing runs. It passes, yay! So let's just prove that it did actually not do a thing, right? So let's just change it to system under test.alignment, and let's run the unit test again because I like to prove that unit tests actually fail. Oh, ooh, see, we have a false positive. Property name should be name of. That's weird. So let's go ahead and break point. So now, because like I know that I can check to see that the value changed, but like, why do we care about that? So let's live dangerously and do something a little off program. We got some time. We're still early in the stream. We got enough time to pull it back if we break it. So let's debug the thing. It's going to hit. It's going to get changed event. It's never hitting the changed event. Oh, I'm so smart. That's why. Declarative programming is hard, people. Run. Declarative programming is hard, people. Okay, now the test fails. Yay. Now the test should pass. Further proving the asynchronous magic of observables and subscriptions. I'm getting a FaceTime call from Vanessa Jones. This is probably like ridiculously faux pas, but we're just gonna go ahead and answer it and tell, because I don't see anybody on here anyway hanging out. So I'm gonna tell her, hey. So so I'm literally live on Twitch right now.
So, Rodney, we're getting drunk in fancy port wine, and we thought of you.
So my friend Vanessa is calling it. So I don't even know where the camera is. Like you can see it. Like I literally like I've got my camera. I've got my live stream. Like I'm coding. Like yeah. Like there's my new camera. Like everybody. Like yeah. Hey, Vanessa's calling in. She's in Denmark, folks, hanging out, having fun.
All right, I'll let you
Look.
go.
Look. I'll be done in an hour. I'll give you a call back.
Hey, look. I'm flying back tomorrow, so I'll do your shit because I'm off on Monday.
All right. Cool. We'll call.
We are sending you a toast.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon.
Hope to see you soon as well. Enjoy. Oh, I apologize. That is so rude. If I can clip that out by the time I get it to YouTube, I will clip that out. But that was my friend Vanessa. She's calling from Denmark. She's actually part of the reason why I'm doing all of this stuff right now. She's one of the people that pushes me in life. So, yeah. Anyway, so that was a good little moment. So we can invert this whole thing. And then we can put the then here and we can kind of explain how this whole thing works. Hey, don't comment that piece out. That's the piece we want. So, oh my goodness. Yeah, this may not be the best way to do it, but it proves the asynchronous fashion. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it just like this. So what we're doing here is this. We're setting a character. That's weird. That's really weird because we have to define it before we set the name. Otherwise, we don't get the subscription. We could set up a suppression, but I don't want to go through all that. That's too much for this. So what we're doing is we're actually subscribed. So because of the way that reactive object works, reactive object actually gives you access. Let me go ahead and start closing some of these extra window things so we can talk and see stuff. Or maybe we need to close this one. We will close that one and open this one back up a little bit. So the way this reactive object thing works, it actually keeps a list of property changed events for you internally that you can subscribe to if you would like access to them. So any given reactive object, you can just say, hey, give me the property name that's changing and I can get to it off the subscription of the event handler, right? So like I can just get right to it. So we're playing off the fact that we can allow reactive object to give us that information in this test. So what we're saying is this: when the name changed, the event is actually firing, and the property name that's on the event is actually the right one. So we'll go ahead and just copy this test, right? And I actually have a colleague that would laugh at me right now, saying, "Oh, Rodney, you're copying and pasting. You're a bad developer." Oh, and it makes me laugh every time I hear it. Yep, I'm a bad developer. Copy paste, copy paste. And let's go back to the requirements and make sure that we see what we had. So we have the alignment, we have the armor class and the hit points, and we want to prove that when the thing is constructed that we have what we wanted. So let's go ahead and put one more in. I think that calls for 4 tests. I think that covers everything, right? So let's go back up here and say when the name change, it should have a value. So the first one we want to do is when the name change should have value, because that was the first requirement. The second requirement was, because we're trying to just keep the tests in requirement order to make it easier for us to read through. Set the name, so the alignment. So you can have an alignment. So we'll do the same thing. So when alignment changed should have value. Because we know that this has the value. We are literally just getting into the property changed event and verifying that it happened, right? So we're gonna say that Bishop Magic is neutral because he seems like a neutral kind of guy. I feel like a neutral kind of guy a lot of days. I try to see both sides. I see all sides, and then I make an opinion, and then usually I get yelled at because my opinion is somewhat unpopular and, as my wife might call it, rude. Anyway, so when the alignment changes, it should have the alignment. So it should take the name of alignment. We should raise. You know what? We should change the name of this. Should raise property changed. Oh, Yahtzee! I just figured out how we can debug through that problem. Big circles problem yesterday I was trying to debug through with reactive UI and looking for property change notification. I just realized, wait, I can just subscribe to the stream and see if it comes down. And if it does, I can look at what thread it's on. If it's in the wrong thread, I can marshal it to the correct thread, and then life will be good, because threading is really what makes RX hard. Hopefully I'm still live. Yeah, my thing is... That light's lighting up. It doesn't seem like I'm too loud yet, so let's see if we can make it just a little bit. That might make it a little bit louder, but I might also be a little bit louder on that keyboard, so let's bring it down a little bit. And we don't seem like we're in the red yet, so let's keep on trucking. Let's go. All right, so we've got the name changed. We've got the name changed. Armor and hit class. So we want to say when the thing is constructed, right? So when constructed. So when my object is constructed, should have armor, right? So when it's constructed, it should have armor. And then when it's constructed, it should have hit points. Okay. So we're going to change this up a little bit. This test is no longer going to look so wonky. We're going to get eat. I'm clicking buttons. Stop clicking buttons. All right, so let's fill out this test, and then we'll be a little bit more test-driven about the rest of it, because it's about to get a little bit more fun after we finish this up. So I know these tests are superfluous, but this is the only surface that we have to prove that we're satisfying the requirements. So, system under test dot bird. Did we not give the... Did we not? Oh, they're private. Dun, dun, dun. See, this is exactly why we write tests, folks, because we checked it in and we gave it off to our coworker, and they'd be like, I can't get to it. Oh, it's private. And then they would have wasted like 20 minutes trying to get figured out. Granted, that should have been caught on code review, but whatever. Who knows? Hit points dot should be 5, right? Because when we start, the hit point should be 5. Let's get this whole then. Let's take this whole then out. All right, so we don't even need this, so this can just be given win. We don't need Bishop Magic right now. Given win. So we're just gonna run through all these tests real quick. This still says hit points. We should make this armor class should be 10 when the object is constructed. So we'll just go ahead and run all these unit tests and exercise our right to verify these things work. All right, they all light up. So we'll just say that they worked. Hopefully we'll come back later and they won't be broken. So we'll go back to the README and we'll look and see that the next piece of the whole fun, and I'm going to try and get through the whole thing today. We may not get through the whole first core part. We may have to do a core part 2 later, because I may have to stop and think about how to do some of this stuff, and I may not want to do that in front of you guys. If you guys were here helping, maybe. But you're not. You're just watching later, hopefully. So a character can attack, right? So as a combatant, I want to be able to attack other combatants so that I can survive to fight another day. So roll a 20-sided die. Don't code the die. That's fine. Roll must beat or opponent. So the first time I read through this, I didn't, because reading is fundamental, I did not read this part, and I went and coded the die, and I found this really awesome way to code the die. So I'm actually going to talk about that anyway, even though the code kata says not to do it, because that's just words. I can do what I want. All right. So the character can attack. So the role. So I looked at this from the perspective of, it's not that a character can be attacked, right? So like let's take a step back and talk about the domain for a second, right? Like, I am a character. I am Bishop Magic, and I can always be attacked, right? Like the ninjas could jump out of the ceiling at any given time. They can attack me, right? So it's really not can I be attacked? It's whether or not your attack can affect me. So instead of taking the approach of making a character can attack and forcing the all of this concern on the character, I decided to create and this may be wrong, and we'll find out through the course of this, because we may get, because I haven't gone through the whole thing yet. So like I'm doing this maybe like a week ahead. So we may get like three weeks in and find out that none of this will work and we have to refactor all of it. And if we do, we do, but we've got tests that prove that things happen and things work. So hopefully we should be able to get some value and some lift out of it. So, as I said, right? So I looked at the feature can attack and can be damaged, and I looked at that as a concept of any character can attack another character. It's a question of whether or not that attack is successful, right? So if I can attack, it's because I roll a 20, or I roll a 20-sided die, and that's what determines whether or not I can attack. But that's you attacking me because you are another character and you will have stats that may modify that, right? So I haven't, again, looked at all of the features because I'm doing this specifically. I'm trying to do this just looking at it feature at a time, right? Just the next requirement. But, so I didn't want to put this concern on the character itself. So I decided to create a concept of an attack and let that thing be its own thing, right? So like maybe the character has mechanics, right? So maybe this is like, not adding a reference. What do we want to do? We want to do add a directory. Let's call this mechanics, right? So characters can have mechanics. Maybe we'll dump all that in there later. I don't know how that's going to look, but I just want to separate this out. And we just want to add a file, add a class, call that thing attack, right? So an attack really happens when one character attacks another character, right? So we can determine whether or not the attack happens based upon one character's skills and stats versus another character's skills and stats. If we take the concern away from the character and whether or not it can or cannot be attacked, and accept that everything can be attacked, and it's whether or not that attack is successful that will determine the remainder of combat. So I also do martial arts. I practice kung fu. So like combat is something that's actually why I chose this, because combat was like interesting to me. From a place of combat, like an attack happens from one person to another. So I was also looking at it from that perspective, where it's not whether or not I can be attacked. I can always be attacked, but can that person successfully land a hit? And that's really what we're trying to figure out during the course of an attack. So an attack happens between one character and another always, right? One character and another. So it's always a one-to-one relationship. It can be a one-to-many relationship, I guess, if you're like in the realm of Magic and you hit like an AoE thing or something like that. That makes sense, right? But we'll get there when we get there. Let's keep it simple. I still think at that point it would still just be an array of attacks, right? At that point you could just have the same thing happen, and each one could be its own autonomous piece. So I still think I like that concept. So we're gonna roll with that. So this thing's gonna be under reactive object 2 as well, and we are gonna call this an attack. So an attack is gonna happen between two characters, right? I am a character. And, character Mr. Hater is always hating on Bishop Magic because Bishop Magic is awesome and the hater is a hater, right? So there's an attacker and a defender, and Bishop Magic is going to defend himself against this hater. I apologize. I've been watching too much comedy recently, or listening to too much comedy, I guess is a better answer. So we'll let whoop. Come on. Ryder's going to help us here, and we're going to introduce an auto property for all unused parameters. Yay, that's so awesome. We're going to put a reactive thing here. We're going to put it back to public. Copy that and that. We may not want it to be reactive, but we'll figure that out in a minute. Yeah, we do. We just want it to be a getting only. Okay. So we're going to move these below the constructor because so this is the other thing about RX that I think is interesting. Like it's really kind of like a pay-as-you-play type deal, and everyone says that the constructor is the most important place to play in your class. The majority of the reactive code is defined in your constructor, and yet people still say, oh, well, the constructor's too large. And I'm like, well, the file would be just as large or twice as large if it wasn't all in the constructor. But, I get it. Like, it makes the constructor harder to read. So then we have to find tools to make it easier to read. Regions is not that tool, people. Don't use regions. Not for that. Definitely not for that. Oh, don't put reactive code in regions. It will not go well. I can just see that now, like, oh, well, I collapsed this region and I had no idea that there was this combined lattice and this thing's been firing off for like 3 or 4 debug sessions and I just didn't even know it was there. Wow. All right, so we're also going to use some new stuff because we like to use the new. We're going to do because we're using reactive, we're explicitly going to use reactive stuff. So I'm going to use some of the new when property change stuff that Glenn has been working on in reactive Marvel. So when property value changes, and this public API service is going to change soon. So it's going to be x.attacker, right? Because when the attacker gets set, now granted, again, this is overkill. I will state again, this is overkill, right? We are explicitly doing way too much here, right? Because we can very easily just set properties and do the stuff, but we're doing this for the purpose of exercising when properties value changes. Yeah, there we go. We're explicitly doing this for the purpose of learning and exercising our RX understanding. So it's okay to exaggerate. So again, taking it back to martial arts, because I'm a martial artist, I always tell people it's okay to exaggerate the technique at a certain point because you have to feel it. You have to feel, your body's got to feel it, right? The whole point, as I understand it, of these code katas, attacker cannot be declared in scope because it is already blah, blah. What? Oh. Oh, okay. It's just, yeah, I should probably pay attention to that. Okay, so let's call this the attacking character. Ugh. We're just gonna call this attack. If I could, I feel like I'm spelling things wrong all the time these days. My spelling just feels like it's getting worse and worse. Defend, right? There we go. We'll make that simple for ourselves. And now we can call this attacker and defender because obviously the typing system doesn't like me today. So we now got our attacker and our defender in our pipeline, right? And in our pipe, the other thing about RX, yeah, I know I'm segueing again. The other thing about RX is that it actually allows you to scale as complexity scales. So the other reason why I'm doing these features just in time is explicitly to show what the thought process is of the feature comes down today and it completely and totally changes a certain thing that we do. I'm hoping that they give me this scenario in here. And if they don't, we'll create one. But a requirement comes down that completely and totally changes the way this thing works, but the RX allows it to scale well. I'm hoping that we find an example of that because that would really help bolster the whole point of this thing. So when property value change thing happens, man, if I was good at this. Oh yeah. Yes, let's do our favorite thing. Where is it? Where not? No, but we're not going to use it. Where x dot attacker is not equal to null, and x dot woof, clicking buttons, and x dot defender. We don't need the other fat arrow, Rodney. This is good. We're not equal to null. All right, so we'll do the where clause. We will do dot invoke command because we're just going to invoke a command on this thing. We're explicitly going to use the expression chaining portion of it, and we're going to call this thing dot attack command. We don't want it to be reactive base. We do want it to be a reactive command. I guess we could just take the tuple values in and then not even have to worry about another allocation. Okay. So that'll invoke the command. So we'll have to, we created the command. It takes in a tuple. It'll return a unit because we don't need anything else. And we just need this to now be set in the constructor equals reactive command dot create. We're gonna have to give it that nasty value tuple, and we'll just have to call it an execute attack. Let's give it this value tuple thing. Maybe we should create something cleaner, but I'll worry about that another time. That looks nice to me. We'll put our privates below our publics. We actually need to clean up this whole class. Need to add analyzers to this thing. Oh, all the code cleanliness, none of the guilt. Okay, so you'll still notify property change because you get set. This is a public command, even though we're not using it publicly at the current moment. All right, so we'll execute the attack, so we don't worry about any of that right now. Okay, so now we have a place where we can execute an attack, right? So now we have our place. Our attack will happen, and our attack will have an attacker and a defender, and we can execute our attack, right? So again, we're doing overkill, but we're doing it specifically to exercise our RX thought process here. So we've got this create. So let's go look at the character again, right? So now let's talk about, go back to the requirement and let's talk about that. Yeah. So a character can attack, right? Whether or not the character can attack another character is something that happens outside of the space of the character, right? That's not something that the character can control. But the character can control its own attack and that roll of the 20-sided die. So let's go look and see how that might look if we coded that thing up. So we'll go to the character, and we're actually going to move this out to its own. Move it to its own file. All right, so on our character, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do like a public int attack, right? So public int attack, right? So it can attack a thing, and right now it can just return 20 for the moment. Okay. So let's go look at how this might be used, right? So let's talk about how an attack would happen and whether or not we can roll the attack or we can test that thing. So let's go figure out how we test it. Let's go do a new class, attack tests. All right. And let's do this. Let's do another XUnit test. Let's bring in XUnit and let's say when attack. What's the requirement? What are we trying to solve in this feature? Let's go back and look. Let's go. What's the problem we're trying to solve? As a combatant, I want to be able to attack other combatants so I can survive. It's okay. So roll a 20-sided die. That's what the character is going to do, so we can easily do that. So let's actually put a test in for that real quick. So let's do that. Let's do wow. Let's just go open the tests instead of trying to create a new class, and we can say actually test when character attack should roll 20. I'm gonna have to do that for this, otherwise it's probably gonna drive me nuts. All right, so character system under test equals new character var result equals system under test dot attack, and then we're just going to do the result dot should dot be so we roll a 20-sided die, so like now I'm going to prove to you that I don't know things. So 0 is not a number on a 20-sided die, otherwise it'd be 0 through 19. So we need to say that it's going to be greater than 0, right? It has to be greater than 0. When character attack should roll greater than 0, okay. And then, okay, yeah, that's what we do. And then we test the negative case, okay. And then we say when attack should not roll greater than 20, right? Yeah, I think this will actually give me should not be dot no should be less than or equal to 20. That works, right? So when the character rolls an attack, it should be less than the 20. Yeah, so let's go run our character tests real quick. And actually, we should probably just go back and run all the EverCraft tests. Yay! Hey, that's fine. Just go back to the... we need to explicitly tell it to private set. Because we're reusing Reactive UI 40 to do the property change stuff for us, it doesn't know how to not rewrite it if we don't give it the private set. So it should technically automatically do that, but it doesn't. So whatever, it weaved the property. Life is good. All right, so all those things are correct to date, right? So, but this thing still isn't really satisfied. So what do we want to do? We want to roll a dice. So let's just, so they said don't code it, and I'm going to not code it, and then I'm going to come back and talk about probably in another one how I'm going to do this differently. Or maybe I just add it the way I want to add it. So yeah, let's talk about it real quick. So the way I was originally planning on doing this was simple, right? Like I was just going to create a public static function because it's just a static function, right? And I was just going to call it dice and public static class, right? I was just going to give it a public static class dice. And then in here, I was going to have like a private random number generator. So let's do the private random number generator. RNG equals new. RNG, no. Random number generator, come on. How does it work? I always forget this. And I have the codes over here somewhere. Is it not in this thing? How am I doing that thing? I know I'm doing it. And I just don't know where. Yeah. Oh. Duh. Random number generator. It's just random. Random. And then you do the number. That's what I call it random. And then I call it the number generator. Because we're so good at this. Equals new random. Right? I don't think we have to give any. No, we don't have to give any properties. So there we have it, right? So I was going to do this, and then I was just going to do like a public static 20, right? Or like D20, I think is what they call them, right? That thing. So D20, and I was just going to do like this, right? And then grab the number generator. This needs to be static. But then I was like, then how do I test it, right? Like then I put that in there, like then it's not testable because then I can't mock the thing out. So I was like, well, I still want to be able to mock this thing some kind of how, right? So let's figure out a better way to make this not be bad. So I figured, well, the best way to do that would be to create like a concept of a dice, right? So I was like, well, I could just very easily, let me phrase. What I was thinking at that point was I could just take the number generator. So here we are. Let's just grab that because public static int. There we go. That's why it doesn't know what it is, right? I could just do that, give it like 1 to 20 and be done, right? So then I could just do like an iDice, and then I would just be having a single instance of this thing, and it would be injectable, and then it's testable, and then that solves a lot of the concerns, right? And I can solve this with a simple facade. And then I was like, I don't like that, because we took that time to look at the rest of the domain, and we looked at the character, and we said, hey, the character shouldn't have an attack The character should be able to attack, do its roll, and then do its modifications in an attack construct. So like we put some thought into that part. So like, why are we just gonna like soft shoe the dice part, right? So like we're just gonna implement the dice the way I want to implement the dice, and the person that created the code kata can come back and yell at me later when he tells me that I did it wrong because YOLOs. I don't think I really care. So we're gonna go ahead and add an interface. We're gonna call this die because a single instance of a dice is a die. I think. Somebody check my English. And a die just rolls. Like that's all a die can do is roll. All right. So because I want to have the ability to polymorphically expand my dice, I'm actually going to use a strategy pattern here, and I'm going to have a dice, and I'm going to have what I'm calling a dice roller, right? That dice roller could be anything, right? It could be the human controlling the character. It could be pretty much anything, right? But we just know that we have a thing that's going to call this dice roller. It's going to call the strategy for the individual thing, and now what we can do is we can compose a set of dice. Right? So like we can compose basically what we're doing and what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to publish this thing at some point because like who would need some 20-sided dice at some point? I don't know. I might write an app in the future and need some 20-sided dice. Or at least a way to polymorphically expand a number generation concept, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take that concept of a die and we're going to create a die base. So we're going to do a public abstract class. We're going to call this the die base. die. It's going to be our abstract implementation. This thing is going to have to now take, this is actually going to be an abstract method. We're going to create this as an abstract method. And we're going to force all consumers to implement it. So now anything that takes a dependency on a die base will have to implement their own role. In the future, we may want to do, oh no, not in the future. We're going to do it right now. We're going to go ahead and say, hey, we're also going to use the template method pattern, and we're going to go ahead and say, hey, we're going to have an IDie, or we're going to explicitly implement this interface. We're going to implement role. We're going to say, hey, when the role happens for this interface, when that interface gets called and that role happens, call the abstract method. So I think this actually can be protected, so that makes it easier. All right, so now when the die base is called, you, the consumer, get to polymorphically do whatever you want with this. This is your method, but this is my method, right? This is the interface's method. So when it's injected by the interface, it will call this method. But if you specifically inject the abstract class, you'll probably get this method. I'd have to test that. I don't know exactly how that works. So somebody fact check me, or call me out on it, and I'll fact check myself when it becomes relevant to somebody's concern. So now we can create our own composed dice, because I'm realizing that composition is king, and I really like object composition. So I just want a composed set of dice. So I'm going to have a 20-sided die base, and in here, in our die base, we're going to want to keep a copy of our random number generator. So we're probably going to want to do like a protected static read only. Yep, there we go. Random. Let's call that the number generator equals new random. All right, so we've got a static thing. I was actually commenting to somebody the other day, a couple of years ago, I used to hate static. When I would see the keyword static somewhere, I'm like, oh, you're doing it wrong. And now that I'm like an adult and can look at code differently and understand like how things really work, I can see a lot of uses for static stuff. So I have to I'm reneging on some of my previous statements. I was wrong. Oh well. There's use for it. It's just sometimes when you see things that are overused in a code base, you start to think of them as wrong, and that's a problem that I have to fix with myself, right? I got to stop looking at it like that way. It's not that it's wrong, it's different, and let's talk about those differences and find a way that solves the concerns amicably. So here, we'll do the number generator next, right? We will do 0, 20, or 120. Is that how it works? Let me make sure that that's how the next works. Returns a random number within the specified range. So the minimum value is going to be 20. The minimum is 1. Maximum is 20. So now I've got a 20-sided dice. Okay. And then all that I have to do is inject my character, this is going to be fun, right? With a dice roller, right? Roller. Let's see if Rider will give me lift. It will. All right, so we've got a dice roller. And now here we can do dice roller dot roll 20-sided. And now, come on. In our character test, instead of testing that, let's go ahead and do, we don't even have an implementation of dice roller yet. Haha. So let's do var roller equals substitute dot for I dice roller. Right. So then we've got a roller here. We pass in our roller, and now instead of doing that, we just want to verify. Oh wait, no. We want to leave that test. We want to leave that test for the moment, but we want to copy this test. Let's get the whole test working. So we'll do this, and we'll say roller dot roll 20-sided dot returns. Let's do 10, just for crits and giggles, yeah. Roller. So then we're gonna say roller. That should be equal to 10, right? Because we say that the roller rolls the 10, so it should be equal to 10. And then we're just gonna verify that the actual should not roll greater than 20. Oh, because that's actually a dice roller concern now. That's actually a dice roller concern. So yeah, we don't even care about whether or not it should roll greater than or greater not to. That's a dice roller concern. So we need to move those concerns to the dice roller test that we're going to write in a minute. And when a character attacks, should call dice roller, right? So now instead of doing that, we'll just say dot received dot roll 20-sided, right? So that's actually what we can test now. So now we don't have to do anything about that. Let's go ahead and retrofit our character fixture down here like this. Let's just copy and paste some of that code. This is actually going to become a underscore thing. Come on. No, I don't want to create a type. Yay, let's do that. Becomes that. Delete. Put that there. So now this roller becomes that. And in our fixture, we can say character fixture. Public fixture with roller dice roller this dot with ref underscore roller. Boom. All right, so now that's done. We've got use explicit private modifier. Yeah, let's do that. So now in our fixture, we can just do this. Instead of doing that there, we can just do new character fixture dot with roller. That will do the thing. We're already giving it the underscore roller. Life is good. Okay, so now we should be able to run. Yeah, see, now we're actually just testing the substitute, right? Hey, we give it a substitute, and we give the substitute a value, and we get the value back. I prefer to just verify that the API surface was called. So we're going to take these two tests out. We're going to create a class, call it dice roller tests. And we're just going to dump all that in here for now. And we're going to run these character tests again to verify that the character acts the way we expect it to act, i.e. it calls the dice roller. service thing. What we do. Character fixture. Boom. That is why we created the fixture in the first place. We're just not doing good at the whole stepping through 1, 2, 3. I try very hard to be like systematic and do like the whole 1, 2, 3 and, you know, step through the whole process. I just don't do well at it all the time. I'm very sporadic I can be. So it's a little harder for me, but I try. And hopefully you guys are following along and getting some value out of this today. Now we'll rerun these tests. Oh, wait, do we still have a red? Yeah, we still have one red. Derp. Boom. Run the thing. All right, so our new test, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Okay, so we got an exception. It says expected to receive a call matching 20-sided die, but actually received no matching calls. So why is that? Let's put a breakpoint. Let's debug. Oh, because it's... I'm in debug, so that's not the problem. It should be calling the fixture with roller, dice roller, underscore roller. Returns the hitting shit's got to be hitting the builder. With fixture. Implicit operator. With... I'm about to call the shenanigans. Oh, the shenanigans. So I made a joke on Twitter yesterday about creating a new song coming out of my album, One Is the Only Number. And I think somebody actually took it seriously, like somebody like a artist, another artist or a promoter or something. And I'm like, oops, that was really just a joke. But I made that joke because my friend Matt Koch always says to me, "Oh, Rodney, you're like a singer." I'm like, dude, I'm not. But I was sitting here the other night fixing something, and like I came up with the actual song, which I don't remember now. It's funny off the top of my head, but it was about complexity. Like, it had something to do with reducing code is about reducing complexity. So I just started like singing it over and over again, and my wife came in and started laughing at me. So I'm not gonna do that for you here now. So we are giving it the correct thing, right? Should call dice roll. What? Who sees why it didn't work? See, this is why somebody is supposed to pay attention to Rodney when he writes code. Because if no one's paying attention, he gets lost in his own ridiculousness. It helps when you call the method that you expect the thing to do the stuff in. All right, so there we go. Okay. I feel like I'm satisfied with these character tests. So let's move on to the dice roller, right? Let's talk about how that thing should probably work and what the public API surface of that roller is going to be. Like, it's really just going to take in it's just going to be like a thing. Let's start here. Let's do it the TDD way. Dice roller. And prove that we don't have anything constructive for it. Right, so we'll create, oh no, we don't want to create that there. We want to create this here though. Create that type, public class. This actually, I want this to be internal. I like my test fixtures internal. It just makes it feel safer to me. Like, hey, understand that this is not code you should ever use anywhere outside of this assembly. We don't have a die roller, so we'll go ahead and add a class and we will call it dice roller. Or should we call it a die roller? Oh man, bike shedding. Dun dun dun. Let's do this. Let's expand everything out into its own classes. And then we can go look at this is actually going to be a die roller. Ugh. Because it just rolls one. It doesn't roll multiple. That's fine. Let's call it die roller. Let's rename the file to match the type. Let's set the thing, implement the members. And here, I think what we want to do, because we don't have a, so I might use a pattern where I had access to the container, probably not for something this lightweight, right? So like really, I'm finding a lot of value these days in creating my own read-only static dictionaries. Private read-only static dictionary. And we're going to create this of a type and an die. And we're going to call this the underscore dice. It's a new thing. And here we're going to create a new one, type of. Now, if we were doing this we could do probably some type of like, magic here. But really what we want, yeah, I know, sort those modifiers. Really what we want is give me underscore return underscore dice type of t dot roll. Okay, so really rename to dice. Okay, fine, dice it is. So really what we want is something a little bit simple. Like we could make this more complex, but this is kind of where I stopped, right? This in my opinion is light enough weight to where I could do it. Like yeah, there's some additional stuff here, right? Like in order for a developer to make a change, they've got to add one. Maybe we could add some registration magic that automatically populates this dictionary. There's all sorts of things we could do. We could potentially pass this dictionary in as a constructor parameter and let our awesome sauce container do it for us. We don't have a container, so we're just going to do this here. Overall, I still don't think this is a bad practice. It works, and it's lightweight, it's static, so you're incurring one cost to set it up, and you're good to go. So we're going to change this to die roller. Yeah, buddy. We're going to change this. Oh, let's hit the F2 button. That hit the die roller. That thing does the thing. Now we've got the die roller fixture. We got an I. Test fixture builder. There we go. So we'll do a public, static, implicit operator, and we'll call this the die roller fixture. Fixture is going to have a fat arrow to fixture.build. Build with an E. That seems good to me. And then we're just going to go ahead and say, hey, why do we even need this? No, I think about it, we don't even need this. Because you can't really. We just have such inconsiderate friends. Maybe I'm just a bad host. I think that's probably what it is. I'm just a bad host. Oh, look, it's funny. I was just talking about how you consider me a. And here you are. Matt has joined us. I haven't been looking at the stream channel for quite some time, but yeah, I had the same thing, right? Like I looked at that and I was like, oh, that interface just looks weird, but it's what it is. So I'm a very big fan of naming the things what they are. I actually don't think I need this. I'm not even gonna bother with this for now. I'm just gonna do the thing and say, hey, when I do a die roller, so we're just gonna call this var. We'll call this new die roller. And this thing is just going to roll. It's going to roll a 20-sided. And now that I'm thinking about that, I don't know if I can test that the way I want to. This is weird. I know I haven't. I am a bad host because I was here for like an hour by myself. Nobody joined, and then out of nowhere you come in. Like, come on, man. Sorry. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to make sure that I stream. Okay, so yeah, that should be greater. So really what we're testing at that point is that the 20-sided die works, not the roller. So let's just go test the implementation of the thing itself. The behavior of the die, not the roller. That seems more correct to me. But that seems like also like a lot more tests. But actually, I think I'm okay with that. So when roll should be greater than 0. Well, thank you for joining us today, Matt. Hope you're having a good day. think it's still Saturday. Oh, it's still early evening where you are. Should be greater than 0, should be less than or equal to 20. Win roll. That's so verbose. I mean, that's what we're testing, though. So, like, let's test the thing, right? So let's just go ahead and do... var roller dot roll. What does the... Wait a minute. Protected? Oh, it's protected. Okay, so maybe this is on purpose, and maybe I do want to obfuscate this. Maybe I don't want you to be able to get access directly to the strategy and run it, and maybe that's why I'm doing this. Or maybe I just make mistakes, and that should be public. No, because that's abstract. We want that to be private. Okay, this is what we can do. Ugh. We will cast the thing to I die. We will call it the roller. We will then do, this is ugly, but it gets us what we want, right? Now we can do the thing, roll, and that should be it. Ugh. All right, so let's take both of those. Let's put that there. Result should be greater than, wait. Oh yeah, I was testing the dice roller. So, 20-sided. Let's just put all of these tests in, because I think I want to just test them all together, because like it's all one big thing. So let's just kill that. Let's create a public class. No, that's what this is exact. Yeah, let's do this 20. Yeah, and then we can just verify the same functionality. When roll should be greater than 0. When should be less than or equal to 20. Cool. What are you complaining about? Oh, you're just telling you're suspicious cast. Yes, it is a suspicious cast. Suspicious. I'm doing bad people things. Doing things developers aren't supposed to do. Let's run all our tests and see where we are. Alex, what do you need for some online gaming? Oh yeah, sure. I'll be glad to join you. You just gotta let me know when. I was actually talking to Oya the other day. She helped me. So you may or may not notice I look. Do I look better than I did before, Matt? Because I got a new camera, and Oya is the one that recommended my camera. So I'm trying to like look better on screen and do better things in the new year. Hopefully my code is readable, because I had that problem that you helped me fix. Uh-oh, I has failing tests. Oh no. Unable to cast object. Well, why on earth would that be the case? It's unable to cast the object. It's definitely of that type. No? Unable to cast object of type 20-sided to type I dot. How is that possible? It's on the same dependency. Thanks, Matt. Your opinion means a lot. You're actually the one. You were the first one that set up the external camera. You're like, oh, Rodney, it looks so much better. And I'm like, you're right. You don't like my beard? My grandmother hates my beard too. Oh my God, she hates it. I called my grandmother and I said, hey, Nan, how you doing? She says, oh, what's all that on your face? I'm like, it's my beard. I don't go anywhere. I don't have to go and do anything. Shaving is just like, ugh, why? And I don't go to my barber often, because going to your barber is considered a high risk thing. It is fluffy. My wife loves it. She likes to push y'all on it. My mother-in-law came up to me and just like hit my face, and she looked at me like I was like, like she was embarrassed. I'm like, just go ahead. It's okay. It's nice and fluffy. And then I also put oils in it. You know, you got to keep it. You know, you got to have the proper beard. This is the thing. Like, so okay, I didn't know this about beard culture because I've never had a beard. But like, there's a whole grooming to beards, right? So like, hard tangent. Thanks, Matt. Like, there's a whole grooming to beards, and I'm like, man, I want to groom my beard now. I want a nice groomed beard. Okay. Yeah, well, so my barber's cutting hair out of his house, and I'm like, I can go, but it's just, it's. I want to know why I can't cast this. Like, why can you not cast this thing, .net? This is just a dye. Oh. You see why? I see why. Because I don't know how to name things properly. There we go. Now that should work. If I get rid of that. And I get rid of that. Now if I run my tests. Yay, my tests are green. Yay, green tests. Okay, so now that we know our 20-sided die does what it does, right? So like we took a hard tangent on that, but who cares? I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun because now I can polymorphically grow my dice set, and I'm going to have an entire library of dice that I'm going to provide to people as a result of this. So when you need to go do dice, you can have your own dice and have your own composed random number generator is really what it is, right? It's just a composable random number generator. Anyway. So we've got our stuff here. Things are looking good as far as I'm concerned. So let's go look at, so we've got tests on these are, you know, when we roll the 20-sided, it works. This is the character fixtures all there. So all that looks good, right? So when it should receive a 20-sided, so we know that the dice roller when the character attack is happening is good. Okay, so let's go back to our requirements document, which I think we accidentally like got rid of. And we need to bring it back. File, open, recent. Let me see. Open. The README. The README. The README. So, as Khalid pointed out, right? So like this is like now if I hit close all, it'll like, or if I hit close all, it'll just close every. Oh, it's back. No. Close all tabs. Yeah. So if I click close all tabs, it'll just not close this one. I found that like a couple of months back. I was like, oh, it's a new feature. Didn't realize it. Ryder changed it out from under me. It gave me better stuff, and I was still looking for the old stuff. Okay, so we're looking at our. Okay, so a character now can be damaged, right? So a 20-sided die roll. So roll must be meet or beat an opponent's armor class to hit. So let's go back to our attack, right? And let's get through our attack. So when, so this, okay, so let's break down the requirements. So when a roll is, when the attacker roll is greater than the armor class, then the character can take damage, right? Like that's how that looks in my brain. Oh wow, I didn't real. Oh man, now I'm even more upset. I just realized about another feature in Ryder that I'm not taking advantage of. 20-sided dice. How does that hurt your life? I try so hard, Matt, so hard. And I feel like all I do is disappoint you. So let's see how I want to handle that. I just realized there's like a really handy IL viewer like right there on the right side in my flipping Ryder view, and I'm like, oh, had I known that was there like months and weeks ago, I could have solved a couple of problems way easier. But let's go look at the tests we want to write. Yeah, so we want to write tests like when the attack happens, you should take damage. When the attack happens, you should not take damage. All right, so like let's go do that. So when the attack happens, when the attack happens, should no when the attack. Okay, when the attack roll is higher than the armor class. When the attack greater than armor should, when the attack is greater than the armor, should be hit. I don't know. Like, I don't know how we test that, actually, now that I'm looking at that. Let me go back to that requirement. Like, the only way to tell if it's hit is whether or not they take damage, right? Like, I can, unless we want to track hits. I don't think we care about tracking hits. I think we just care about tracking damage. So a natural roll of 20 always hits. So I don't think we can test that either. So then we need to just move on to this, right? So I think we satisfied everything here. Or these two features are so tightly coupled the way we're coding it that we need to solve them both at the same time. Maybe we're bad developers for that. That's fine. Roll must meet or beat the opponent's armor class. I think we can. Let's try this. Fixture. This is going to be internal. This is going to be iTest fixture builder. This thing is going to be a public, static, implicit operator. That thing, fixture, build, create. All right, so we've got an attack. So here we're going to give it a new attack. We're going to give it a new character. Fixture, we're going to call it dot with name. And we're going to call this one, this is going to be, oh no, the attacker. Yeah, Bishop Magic is going to go on the attack on all of these haters. So we're going to go attack some haters. Because like, this is funny to me. So I don't like. So part of this, what I found about this is because it's a throwaway domain, and because it's like people that do talks and they talk about ninjas as the domain, right? Like this is fun. You can have fun with this, and that makes it like enjoyable. Versus if you were just doing it for the sake of doing it because just give them a name. Well, then it's not as much fun. I just killed all the fun. Yeah, we're going to give me the ability to build it out the way I want to. So we'll do string, name, underscore name, create the field, string. All right, so now we have with name. So we need to give this thing name equals underscore name. Yeah. And that will now compose our object with a name. So now let's go back to our thing where we're using the character fixture. So we got Bishop Magic. And we're going to call him King Hater. Because why not? This is ridiculous at this point. We'll just call him King Hate. Bishop Magic and King Hate. Cool. So he's going to defend himself against Bishop Magic. And now we've got that system under test, so we should be able to system under test dot attack command dot execute. This is where it gets weird. I'm actually going to point out the fact that I don't need to take it. So this is where I had a conversation earlier this week how test-driven design helps us shape our API surface. I realize now, like, because these are all private things behind here, this thing doesn't need to even care about this. So now this can just be unit and not have to take in anything. But like if we were taking in values from the UI maybe, or from some observable stream, maybe that makes sense. But like right now, this doesn't even make sense to me because everything behind it is private. So I'm just going to use the private. Have I heard what? I haven't heard. Oh no. Am I going to freak out? Is this like a freak out moment? I'm getting anxiety, Matt. What haven't I heard? So we're going to check the var attacker attack roll equals attacker dot attack. Well played, sir. Well played. Bird is the word, is apparently. Bird is the word. So, if the attack roll equals 20, right? Because a natural 20 always hits. Or, whoa, clicking the wrong buttons. 20 or, are we using C#? I don't know if we are. If we are, I want to do like the logical or stuff. Or attack roll is greater than the defender dot armor class, right? So my roll is greater than your armor class, right? Then the defender is going to have to take some damage. So we'll do like a to-do here. We'll say defender gets socked. All right, so the defender will get socked later on, but for right now, we're just verifying that that thing happens, so we could potentially do something here that would give us an understanding that things happened. The question is, what? Well, I guess if that's the case, then the defender takes damage, right? So okay, so like let's go back to our character, right? So in the auspices of combat, right? As a person that can attack, I can defend, right? So I should be able to probably do it do a defend, but I can also just take damage. So for the moment, what we'll do is avoid method, and I will be damaged, and my hit points will be minus equals. No, minus 1 equals 1. There we go. Minus equals 1. There we go. Yikes. That's not what you see every day. You always see the plus. I could probably just do minus, right? Would that work? That probably won't work. I could do hit points equals hit points minus, but I don't want to do that either, so that's fine. Minus equals 1. So we'll take some damage. So now our attacker will take damage. So when we execute here, we can't really test that they're hit. We don't get access to the attack roll. Although we could potentially, so like, okay, here, this is where it gets weird, right? Because like an attack will be a single autonomous thing that happens at an instance in time. So it's basically state in transition, right? And like it's the same way in actual combat, right? Like an attack is just a moment in time. So we're capturing the attacker, the defender. Maybe we'll want to capture all those rolls for later. Don't know, but for right now, we're not capturing it. So what if we did like a public get only property called the attack roll, so that way you could get access to the whatever the attack roll was, or maybe you even want property change notification from it. So yeah, let's just do that real quick. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, we're gonna break my brain here in a minute. I already know what's gonna happen, but okay, let's follow it. Let's do public int the attack roll. So now we're not like my hope is that we're not just creating API surface for the sake of testing. So that's kind of why I don't want to do this. I think I'm gonna not do that actually, and just kind of keep going down the path. Because again, it's something that we can come back to later and play with more. We can always come back and say, hey, we want to add more tests around blah. So let's go back to our thing. So we've at least coded that initial requirement. So character can be damaged. As an attacker, I want to be damaged, right? So yeah, okay, so we're getting into the other requirement now. So let's go ahead and get into that requirement. I want to be damaged my enemies so that they will die and I will live. If an attack is successful, other attacker character can take 1 point of damage when hit. So that gets into our damaged, right? So damaged, so in our execute, in our attack, here we can just do defender.damaged, right? So far, so good. So what we can say is that now we can now verify that when the attack happens, the person should take damage. So we can say when the attack happens, the defender defender takes damage. Right? There we go. So now the attack defender. So now if we do system under test defender hit points should be 4, because we know the initial requirements state that they should be 5 on the startup. So now we've got this here. So attack tests will verify that that happens. Should happen, but we'll verify. Oh no, expected it to be 4, but found 5. What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Oh no, the world is ending. We broke it. We broke it. Let's pin a couple of tabs here. Oh, so we have to ensure in our test, smart, we have to ensure in our test that we actually get a value that's greater than 10, right? So what we need to do is mock some things up. So what we need to do is change this up. We need to change this up, and we need to give it a dice roller. So this is going to be in the attack test. So in our test, we actually need to give it a dice roller. Import the missing references. And this is a die roller. There we go. Yikes. Yeah, inheriting from that class is going to be... Like, this is going to be funny when I release it, because it's like, ugh. So yeah, so we say that it returns 11. So we give it the attack fixture. We say .with or... Oh. Okay. We actually need the to mock the characters as well. So we need to at least mock the attacker, I think. We need to mock the... So this is where, like, it's not really a unit test. I'll be the first to say this is, like, where we're getting into, like, ugh, there's multiple layers of stuff. But we're just trying to prove that we can get stuff working with attacker. Right, so let's come down here to our fixture. We're going to create a public attack fixture with attacker. It's going to have a character, attacker. Yep, that's right. This dot with ref underscore attacker. Create the field. We'll have a field up there. Save that. And now we need to swap this out so that this is the default value, just so that we have one with the default value. Okay, so now this is the default value of that. This gets passed in as the underscore attacker, and off we go. So now we should be able to, our test should be able to verify that. The 20-sided returns an 11. So now when we run this test, we have control over how our strategy works. And when it calls the correct thing, it should do the stuff, but it doesn't do that. So now, debugging. All the debugging. Okay, we're definitely not hitting the breakpoint that I want to hit. Oh, I know why. Haha, I know why. Man, look, it's funny because I was literally writing a blog post this morning, or working on the blog post this morning for exactly that thing. Hey, when you slam F5 and you expect stuff to work with observables and they don't, try subscribing. Pro tip. Boop. Right? Yay! It helps when you do things properly. Okay, so now we've got a thing. We're going to come back and do the defender here probably in a little bit. But now when the attacker, so the defender should take damage. So now we know that when our autonomous attack happens and the command executes, that if the roll is high enough, the defender will take a point of damage. Right, so we're good. So now we're going to say the same. We're going to take the test, copy it out. And we're going to say, we're going to say, when attacked, the defender should not take damage. Should take damage. Should not take damage. And should. Defender should take damage. I don't know if I like this. I'm going to come back to this naming convention later. That's not important for right now. What's important for right now is that when this thing rolls below the armor class, and let's go back and again verify the requirements. So the requirements state if it's a task successful, 1 point of damage when hit. If a roll of a natural 20, then a critical hit is dealt and damage is doubled. Okay, we'll get to that. And then when hit points are fewer than 0, the character is dead. So we're going to implement all of these, and then we're going to probably call it a day, and then we're going to get to the scores and abilities another day. So if the attack is successful, other character takes 1 point of damage when hit. Okay, so we've covered that. So now we need one just to say that they didn't get hit based upon our new rules, and we need that test to say what? Given the attack returns, I think it's less than the armor class, right? I think is what the original can attack. Come on. Work with me here, read me. Work with me. Alignment. Must meet or beat opponent's armor class. Okay. So 10 should work. Okay, so let's go check that out. Then defender hit points should be 5, right? Because he shouldn't take any damage. So let's run that test and verify that it works. Okay, so we could technically write a theory at this point that tests every number up through it, but then we're just testing, in my opinion, the random number generator. This actually tests the edge case in the requirement where it has to be greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, or whatever that is. Truth value, I think it's less than. Greater than or equal to. There we go. So, candidate. What's a good candidate for code inspection? Sorry, Matt, I missed that. Was that the, how far back were we? That was after the bird is the word comment, huh? So now we're going to take care of the critical hit. So when there's a critical attack, you should take double damage, right? You should take... So we want to do another X unit test, and we want to say when critical attack should take double damage. Is that what the requirement says? Does it actually say double the damage? Yeah, damage is doubled. Okay, so damage is doubled. Yep. Okay, cool. So then we'll expect this to be 3, right? So when we return a natural 20, we expect that thing to return double damage. That should be 3. Right now, I think it's only going to be 2. So we're going to have to go back and figure that thing out in a second. How do we already solve that? Uh-oh, we're in trouble. So, okay, when the attack... should be 2. Let's just... Because now I'm, like, curious as to how that passed the first time. It's giving me a false positive. Ugh. What does that mean? So it means that when we are in our attack, something's happening, and we need to debug that. So let's debug. doing the execute subscribe? Attack command dot execute dot subscribe. Okay. Off we go on debugging things. Let's go debug more stuff, right? Because that should hit. Should hit the attack command. I'm in debug mode, right? Okay, let's go look at our test again. So we're giving it an attacker. With attacker, right? This gives it to the thing. That's the underscore attacker. Attacker equals new attacker. Yeah, all that works in my brain. I'm actually at a loss here. I have no idea what the heck is going on. For whatever reason, I'm not able to debug too, so that's always fun. Defender should not take damage. Defender should take damage. Oh, that's why the... I just had a great moment. I can't read. All right, so let's do everything up to the given. Let's paste that in there. So now when the attack happens, yay. System manifest dot defender dot hit points dot should be 3. Now that'll fail. Yay, should be 3 but found 4. Okay, here we go. So we can keep moving. So now we can implement our double attack. So how are we actually going to implement this like double attack thing? That's actually kind of... How do we do the thing? How do we do the thing? Okay. This is how we'll do that thing. In our attack, we will check to see now... Or do we actually end up going towards that, back towards that route? I think we did. Okay. Oh, we're not even doing a command anymore because there's no point. That's actually a great thing, right? So like we can just let the construction of the thing happen. So let's actually go do that. Let's take this command off because the command is actually not giving us much value at this point, right? So let's go back to writing a good terse statement that does stuff, right? So instead of this, we're going to do execute attack. And we're going to change this to a subscribe, right? All right, so now this thing needs to have its change type of method. Yep, to take that. No. Wrong. I mean, hold up. Yes, but this actually needs to be Z. This needs to be here. And then everything's happy, right? That's what you're complaining about, right? You're complaining about the fact that I'm supposed to take that as a value? Underscore, fat arrow, execute attack, underscore, right? That works, no? So then how do you import missing ref? That's twice today, folks, that I just got bit off the same thing that I just wrote a blog post about. Yay. See, there's so much value in it. There's so much value in it. Okay, so now that we've got should there be another? Oh, it needs a, it's the attack. Dun, dun, dun. So now we'll do the roll. The attack roll will be the attack dot attacker dot attack. That's, oh, words and bike shedding. So then we're gonna do the attack roll is greater than the attack dot defender dot armor class, right? So if it's greater than that, then it'll be damaged. I think we're gonna need to change the way damage works, and damage is now gonna have to take in a value. So like what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, hey, depending upon what you rolled, right? So if the attack roll equals 20, right? We want to do 2 points of damage. Otherwise, we want to do 1 point of damage, right? And we just want this thing to now take in an integer. Cool. So now we can very easily take care of our double damage concern. So now when we go and verify that our test passes, we can... Oh, we don't even need that attack command anymore. Let's go back and fix that. Go back and fix the thing. Go back and fix the thing. Execute subscribe. This thing doesn't even need to exist anymore. Right, and the construction of the object will just do the thing for us. Right, so now it'll look a little bit more like that, I think. But it found the object reference. So let's figure out what that object reference is. Let's go figure out what that object reference looks like in a second. And get rid of that. Just want to clean up the code as we're going so that we don't have to come back and clean it up later, because I will forget. And you won't be here to pay attention to me forgetting, so we'll clean it up together. Let's see if all the tests pass or fail, because if they all fail, then that means we broke something globally. If not, then we just broke something specifically with that. Yay! So we broke the attack altogether. So how do we break the attack? Oops. Now if we run the thing, oh, this should be greater than or equal to the armor class, shouldn't it? Oh, because it rolled a 20. When defender should not take damage. Oh, because we changed that. So that should be 9, right? If I roll a 10, I hit you. But if I roll a 9, I won't hit you. And the critical attack, if I roll a 20, I expect your hit points to be 3. Which means we inverted our logic. Which means... No. We did that, right? We're going to stop second guessing and doubting ourselves. We're rolling our 20-sided die. It rolled a 20. So if it's equal to 20, damage should be... Oh! Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so now if we run our things, everything should just work. Yay. Okay. So we've satisfied the can be damaged requirement. So when you have 0, oh, we haven't satisfied dead. We need a dead state. So let's do this. A character can be either dead or alive. This is like getting really, really dark. Way darker than I wanted it to be, but here we are. We're in the D&D world. We're doing the things, and I feel like dead is just like a dead is not something that you as the consumer can set. You have to do it through some bells and switches and mechanisms, i.e. getting the opponents or getting the character's hit points to 0, which requires you to get them to take damage. So this is a great opportunity to use something that we call in reactive UI. We call it an observable as property helper, which is more or less a calculated field, right? So I just need to know whether or not I'm dead, right? Based upon that requirement. So like we're gonna code to the requirement instead of doing like is alive, we're just gonna do is dead, right? Like because specifically the requirement says when then the character is dead. So the character needs to have a property called dead, and it needs to know whether or not it's dead. So how, pray tell, does the character know when or when it could not be dead? This dot when, I'm glad you asked. When the property value of the hit points changes, right? We're just gonna select that the value that comes in is greater than 0, and we're going to do a dot to property ex. It's going to be this, and it's going to be x fat arrow x dot dead, D-E-D dead. Okay, so now we can say fact. That's on a character. Haha, we can go to the character. We can say when. Let's go to when. When character mortally damaged should be dead. Should be dead. Wow. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Anyway, so we're just going to go ahead and give him like mortal damage, right? So damaged, and we're going to give it 5 because we know that will trigger it. And then we can say system under test dot. We don't want to do dot received. We want to system under test dot dead dot should be true. And then we also want to verify that when constructed, the character is not dead. When constructed, should not be dead. Should not be dead. It's so like weird, right? So like, yeah, when I'm alive, I'm not dead, right? But like, it's just Boolean logic. I don't think we need a mock on this. We don't need to care. We don't even care about that. So we can get rid of the deleting code. Deleting code. So that was the song that I created. Matt was like, reducing code reduces complexity. I was sitting here deleting code, and I'm like, deleting code reduces complexity, and I was doing a dance and singing. It was great. You missed it. So that's the song that's coming out on my new album is going to be deleting code reduces complexity. 1 is the only number. Hashtag fire sauce. Character dot they did. D-E-D, huh? Yeah, I thought about that. So yeah, I'm going to change it to is dead, but like, I thought about that, right? Is dead. D-E-D. I thought that would be hilarious. Uh-oh. Expected it to be true, but found false. So what did we do wrong? Is it what recorded? Oh, me doing the dance? No, me doing the dance is not recorded. Unless you just caught me doing it just now. So, mortally damaged, we give it damage 5, right? Damage 5, so if... Oh, duh. There we go. So now we know whether or not we're dead or alive. Cool, so we've solved that requirement. So how many requirements do we have left? Because I don't know if we're going to get through them all today, because I'm getting to the point where I'm going to go find some food in this house. So that's iteration 2 classes. We'll get the classes. So we need to deal with leveling, gaining experience. So, okay, we'll deal with abilities, gaining experience on the next one. But now we've satisfied all of these requirements. So in an hour and a half, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 features. We've created 12 unit tests. We know that our subsystem works the way we expect it to, and we can expand for future requirements. So this is actually pretty good. Like I'm really kind of liking this, right? So like we've got our 20-sided dice, so we know that our 20-sided dice work. We've got when constructed tests. No, it's not gonna be when constructed. Yeah, when constructed should not be dead. Damage 5 is dead should be false. Given when, yeah, there should be no clause on that one. That should just be a given win. So that means we don't have we have a false positive on a unit test. We're gonna clean that up before we go anywhere. I got cat noises. I got cats outside, but I don't make cat noises. Or do I? I don't know. Should be dead, right? Should be dead is true. Should be dead is false. Do we need to give it a... No, because the default value of bool is false. You are a clown. That's why you make me laugh. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Are you doing weird stuff? Let's kill the session and just run it fresh. I don't have a good overlay on my screen, so I need more. So because of I need a second monitor to be able to do this better, Matt. Then I can actually put you on a monitor and laugh, and then I can talk and laugh and talk and laugh. But right now I'm stuck just talking, and I gotta do shuffling around because of the resolution that my monitor is at to make the streaming better. Okay, so all of our tests pass. I feel like this is good. I think we're actually going to set up CI for this thing just to prove that it works and that it continues to pass after we break the thing. And I honestly think that I honestly think that the way we're going to do that is just to use nuke on it, because I already have a thing that builds nuke net standard libraries, or uses nuke to build net standard libraries. So I don't know if I'll do that live on stream or not. Maybe I will. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I will do that live on stream after we finish the first feature, or the first set of features, the first core iteration. We'll take a pause and we'll build nuke. It'll be like very uneventful because it'll only take like 5 minutes because we've already abstracted all that stuff. But that'll be a fun exercise. I know, right? So again, I think we did some good work today. I think we got 12 tests on our subsystem. We have gotten through the entirety of the basics of a character, an attack, and issuing damage. We know when a character is alive, when a character is dead. We know the character has a name. We know that we can get property change notification off of things. So overall, I feel like we're doing pretty good. I'm actually going to commit this code. So there's that's Ryder's way of doing it. There we go. So you'll see here on that same one that I pasted in the thing, there's going to be a Twitch iteration. So I'm actually just going to have a Twitch branch where I commit all this to, and I'm going to go ahead and push that up. You guys can follow it there. Again, this is supposed to be a code kata, so it's supposed to be one of those things that you do it, and you do it over and over and over again to train muscle memory and to learn new things. And that's exactly what I did when I started doing it. I was like, oh, I can do this instead of that. And when this happens, right? Because like you saw earlier in the attack, normally I would do a command, but I was like, well, why do I need a command to do the attack? The second that the attack is created and it has values, just go off and do the thing. I don't need to call an external command, right? And then everything internal to this I think actually, I can make that static. So now that this is a static method, this thing only gets created once. So now everything in here is happening internal to this method, which means it doesn't have any external dependencies, which is a great thing. So as you see, like you get a chance to learn a whole bunch of new stuff. There's some stuff we didn't cover, like this is just reactive property change, Fody weaving. These are some of the new extension methods that we're looking into creating for reactive UI. But overall, I feel like this was a fun exercise, personally. I'm going to continue down this exercise. Next time, I think we're going to talk about character abilities and scores. So we're going to figure out how we're going to do this whole table thing. And then we're going to do character ability modifiers and attributes. So Oh man, so earlier I was talking on the stream, Matt, about how I used to not like static and static was evil, and now like I actually like static more than I used to. If it's used properly. So in that instance, I feel like it's used properly because now I have this method that has all the state that it needs in order to do its work passed into it. I.e., it's an f of x machine, and all you're doing is passing in x and getting out y. There's nothing under the scenes that you can potentially use to muddy that item potency. So now, because it's static, I know that it'll only get created once. Like it reduces on memory allocation and all those other things. So yeah, the fact that this is a static method that I can just pass into my subscription every single time that this happens, I think that it's a good thing. I think it's a win. I think it's a win. So back to what I was saying before Matt interrupted me. Oh yeah, so we'll do experience, we'll do leveling, and we'll do ability modifiers next time. This will actually be fun. So yeah, I'll be here again next Saturday. So same bat time, same bat channel. I was streaming Friday nights, but my personal life has changed a little bit, so it's Saturdays from here on out. Those of you watching on YouTube later, you probably don't care about that. But for those of you who are watching live, this is actually a better time for a lot of my friends in Europe as well as my friends in on the other side of the earth. So, yeah, I just think that this is going to be good. I may end up actually streaming 2 days soon because, I got a new camera, so I got to flex my new camera. But thanks for joining, Matt. Thanks for everyone else who joined. Thanks for who's watching. We'll see you next time.